What's up, everybody? You made it. If you've watched all 5 episodes before this one, then I want to say thank you. You've officially made it to the last episode of this Don't Wrestle Yourself docu-series. Now, I know this isn't my usual green screen setup, but throughout this whole project, I wasn't expecting for it to look the way it's looked so far. But regardless, here we are, and now I need to catch you all up to speed before we go into the details of episode 6. Alright, so at this point, it was already 2022. I had just lost my APW Carolinas Championship. And mind you, up to this point, I still haven't been granted a rematch for that championship, but it was recently announced that on June 11th, actually, next Friday, I would actually be in a handicap match for the championship. Right now, as we speak, the current APW champion is a guy named Jamal the Titan, and right now, coming up next week, I'm going to be teaming up with this guy named Grant Kistel to take on Jamal, and whoever does pick up the pin in that match does indeed become the new APW Carolinas champion. Oh, hey Grant.
James? What's up, man?
So you're Grant Kistel, right?
That's right, you were James Outstanding.
Correct. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, how'd your match with Jamal the Titan go?
Far from ideal, but we're not letting that get me down right now.
Same. My match with Jamal was a massacre, but on the bright side though, I'm pretty sure you heard the good news. We have a handicap match against that Titan coming up, 2-on-1. But look, I know you really don't know me that well, and I know we really haven't had chemistry at all just yet, but dude, I'm a former Carolina champion in my own right. Matter of fact, my very first victory was in this ring for that championship. And just when I lost that belt back in 2022, I never really got a rematch, and since then I have been falling victim to my own autism, and I can't believe I just said that. But it's just been very hard on me mentally and psychologically, and I wish you could have been there to see my fun-loving side. But lately, just mental health has really sucked, and I look at somebody like Jamal the Titan, and when I had that match with him, Jamal really became the physical embodiment of every negative thought I had against myself, and I feel like if I lose this match, I might very well lose myself, and I apologize in advance if I end up letting you down.
The 11th? It's me and you. And whoever gets that pinfall will be the champion. It ain't gonna matter. It's not goals. Who wants that belt? It's gonna be two men fighting to get even. And yeah, the championship's on the line, but Jamal's been around here bullying everyone for far too long. He's been bullying you for far too long, he's been bullying me. So regardless of who gets that belt that night, I say let the better man win. Because either way, regardless of whether it's me, whether it's you, it's gonna be one of us that takes down Jamal the Titan.
Promise me one thing though. No matter what happens, whoever does win that championship on the 11th, the other one becomes number one contender automatically. And then me and you will tear the house down.
It's me. You're first in line. I hope to say the same if it's you.
And we're going to find a way to be outrageously optimistic year round. Booyah!
Boo? Yeah.
But shortly after I lost that title though, we was rolling into the summer, and I was able to have a feud with All Worm No Soul, aka Brady Collins Joey Ford. Now, Joey is somebody that I've known actually since I was in high school. I think I met him in high school drama class back then.
and that was like all the way back in 2011. So it felt kind of cool that I was on the. It felt kind of cool that I was part of the reason why they was able to turn heel the way they did. Um, I had that brief feud with Joey and Brady, but that also gave window to bring Mickey Fulp back into the picture, and I was able to find a way to turn him babyface for a brief time period, but that didn't last long. But Mickey and I, we did end up calling ourselves um, Hogtimistic, but it never really got official because I was being outrageously optimistic. He was the Hog, Mickey Fulp. But yeah, unfortunately though, as Mickey and I started teaming more, I noticed that I was getting booked less and less because it felt like if Mickey wasn't getting booked, I wasn't getting booked. And at that point, it felt like there was just, creatively speaking, there was just no more room for me on the card or in the stories anymore. And I might have taken that a little bit too personally, but still, I was getting heartbroken. From like 2022 leading into 2023, I just wasn't getting the amount of bookings that I used to. I mean, look, dude, it's my hometown promotion. I wasn't being allowed to wrestle the way I wanted to in my own hometown. And now, even in 2023, yes, that was the same thing too. I think in 2023, I've only gotten booked like what, 4 times for Chester? I think it was 4 times. One of them being the Halloween show. But other than that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was still thankful for the opportunity to wrestle at other promotions. I did still try to find a way to branch out, but for whatever reason, just certain wrestling promotions didn't really, see the value in me at the time, and maybe I just showed up at the wrong time, and it may have been the wrong dude at the wrong time. I don't know. I did try going out to um, invest time with AWL, and which was American Wrestling League by Jimmy Ward at the time, and I even tried branching out to Pro, Pro Wrestling Union right before they ended up closing their doors. And Pro Wrestling Union at the time was ran by a guy named Cole Maccabee, and Maccabee is actually one of the people who trained me last before I actually had the opportunity to wrestle myself. And I've known Cole since, heck, I was in middle school. I used to watch Cole Maccabee wrestle when I was in middle school, and back then he had like long blonde hair too, so the fact that I was able to work under him felt like a blessing as well.
And yes, I'm still proud of the work that I've been able to do with CMW, LWA, and TWA, but I'm seeing how good APW Chester is doing, and I feel like I'm being pushed onto the back burner. Like I didn't matter anymore. APW Chester was my home. I was getting heartbroken that I couldn't do what I loved in my hometown. Those feelings really started to amplify in 2023. It really started to feel like I'm going back on my losing streak, back at home again, and I'm only being used sparingly for enhancement talent. And I only had like 4 matches in total for Chester in 2023. Meanwhile, I'm still dealing with a broken heart, not only professionally. Meanwhile, I'm still dealing with a broken heart, not only professionally, but personally as well. Queen Enterprises and I, we needed to split up around the beginning of 2023. Now, what can I say about Queen Enterprises, aka Brianna Price? Now, I might repeat some other brief details from the last episode, but just bear with me, please. After about a month of returning to action for American Pro Wrestling in Bone Springs, back in 2021, a fan named Brianna Price messages me on Facebook. She requests for me to return so that she can get a picture with me, and at this point in my wrestling career, nobody has ever requested for me personally to show back up, so I did.
But the night I got there was actually a fan's choice night where the fans booked the matches before the show. Now, I got placed in a match against this dude named Chris James, and it happens in the pre-main event. But after my match, I decided to stay in my gear for the sake of giving Brie the full Booyah experience. Now, after the show, I met up with her, and I was still kind of tired, but I gave her a hug anyway. I signed her championship, I took a picture with her, and I gave her a free poster. But the next day, I'm in church enjoying a Thanksgiving luncheon while texting Brie. She comes out and asks me if I have a girlfriend or not. Now, at that point, I just sighed to myself. I was like, and I thought, I didn't want to talk about this. I was at the point where I had already stopped looking for a girlfriend, and I gave up on my search, and I was convinced it just wasn't possible. But then Bree, she asked me if I can be her boyfriend. Mentally, I start panicking. I didn't know much about this girl. I didn't have that much experience. I was just as confused as I was lonely. So I start scouring her Facebook page to see if I can find any information on her, but I see her pictures with multiple wrestlers. I start messaging them to see if I can get any intel, but then I end up messaging Michael King, and he tells me the answers that I needed to know. Michael King was a manager in the wrestling business at the time, and out of everyone else, Brie liked him the most, it seemed. But Mike tells me Brie is in fact 20, but he confirms that she is indeed autistic. Now, around that time before I moved into my brother's, I was debating with myself if someone on the spectrum could truly find romantic love or not, without pity being a condition of the relationship. So now I felt like I was placed on the spot to basically see for myself. But that same day, Bree asks to talk to me on the phone, and I agree. So we start talking, and I tell you, talking to her on the phone became a lot easier than just texting her. I let her know that it might take me a few weeks to process this whole boyfriend role, but she can keep calling herself my girlfriend if she wants to. But in that November, I invited her to be a co-host on my podcast, and I think I saw something cute there from her.
Would you rather wrestle Dewey or wrestle Roman Reigns?
Ooh.
I
I want both of those. I want both of those. You're gonna freak out about this one. I made it myself.
Mhm.
Let me get this on here.
What? Oh my God! Freddy Cougar's.
It's it's not the real glove, but it's just something I like
Mhm.
homemade. Now, mind you, walking into that podcast, I wanted to give her a stage name. Like me, of course, my stage name was self-standard, but I wanted to come up with a stage name for her. The first idea I had in mind was Nikki Breeze, because her middle name is actually Nicole, and, well, I made her middle name her first name, and I shortened Brianna down to Bree and made it Nikki Breeze. But I also came up with the name of Queen Enterprises because, mind you, for one, I'm the self-professed king of cringe, but also, with Queen Enterprises being a big Michael King fan, Michael King had his own wrestling group at the time called King Enterprises. So I gave her the name Queen Enterprises, and it's been sticking with her ever since. Now, technically, that first podcast we did together was actually my first secret internet date with her. But I remember feeling a little bit apprehensive about dating her so quickly. I text her saying, I think we're going too fast, and maybe we should just stay friends. But then Bree says she still wants a kiss. Now, at this point, my first kiss was already taken care of, and I didn't see that one coming. But now, with me expecting this one, I was curious, so I agreed. I remember that night, I wanted to get a ride back to Bowling Springs, and Bree comes back with her cousin, Rob, to pick me up at my brother's. I get in the back of the... I get in their pickup truck, and then we head out. When we get out of the truck, Bree gives me a teddy bear, and to this day, I still have that bear. This is the bear that she gave me back in 2021. The very first gift she ever gave me. And heck, to this day, Bree and I, we still have a condition with this bear to where anytime I hug this bear, she could still feel it from a distance. That night, though, I get booked for a battle royal for the Internet Championship. Mind you, I'm already in the middle of my Carolina Championship reign from Chester. But I remember halfway through the match, as I'm outside selling, Jamie Knight walks out there and tries to hand me a can of Pepsi. I just put it on the announce table and I said, I'll be back for this later. After the match, Bree tells me that she bought the Pepsi for me and had it delivered. But I thought that was sweet. And of course, after I win the match, I meet up with Bree at the back of the arena, and sure enough, for the first time in our relationship, we kiss right there. After the show, they drop me back off at my brother's, but before I go back inside, I get another kiss. But the next morning, I'm looking around for my camera, and then I realize, oh crap, I left my camera in their truck. Now at this point, I went ahead and agreed to be Bree's boyfriend, but I wanted to keep it under wraps for now. I remember teaching Bree how to use that camera over a video chat, actually.
What? What? Filming? Oh my god. What? How? Hello.
I decided to make the announcement of Bree being my girlfriend for my 2021 Christmas special.
Girlfriend. I'm his girlfriend.
Yes,
We've been dating about 20 days.
at the time of us filming this.
Yeah. And we met the 22nd. Yeah, in November. And that's it.
And if you want proof, like more proof that she's my girlfriend, are you ready for this? Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's all 3 seconds from now, right? Okay, are you ready? That was 3 seconds. Come on. One more time. Hey, come here.
Oh my god.
Alright. Alright. Because right now, okay, come on, let's do this. Come on, real quick. Alright, ready? Merry Christmas, babe.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, babe.
Our first actual non-wrestling date was actually January 1st, 2022. Before the wrestling show, Bree and I actually went to watch Spider-Man No Way Home together. But after watching the movie, we did go back to APW in Bowling Springs again, and after that, I actually went to Denny's with her. I started enjoying Bree's company. But since then, Bree and I shared so many experiences together. She became my YouTube business partner in a sense, my live stream co-host, the occasional vlog co-host, and after I moved back home, I was under the impression that it would have been harder for me to see her. But that couldn't have been any further from the truth. We still saw each other occasionally, and I was even paying a dude $40 a trip just to get me to and from Spartanburg. Bree and I started going on more trips together. Now, thanks to Toby, we've actually gone to a drive-in together, we've been to Wrestle together. Heck, I went to my first live WWE event with her and Toby, and that was the night I got to see Bray Wyatt live in action before he even had his last televised match at the Royal Rumble. We went to the Charlotte Motor Speedway to see the Christmas lights. Trips aside though, through time, I've gotten to know part of her family, and she's gotten to meet a lot of mine. She even went to my church a few times as well. We've shared Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmases together, and Bree's companionship has meant a lot to me during a time when I didn't think anybody could ever give it to me. But sadly, in early 2023, it became highly advised that we split apart. Due to a personal situation I can't discuss right now, we did have to part ways for a bit. Our futures were in question, at least until that August. But still, that was 7 months of mystery until one of the biggest issues kind of resolved itself. Now, when Bree and I got back together, our relationship has been stronger since then. And to an extent, I think I've been seeing Bree be a little bit more wiser as time progressed. Now, as I film this today, Bree and I have been more grateful for each other than ever. I don't know what our future holds, but we've given this relationship to God, and where we go from here is sure to be a blessing. Queen, if you're out there watching, no matter what, I love you. And I appreciate you. You've done so much for me, and I say thank you, Queen Enterprises. Love you, bae.
Just before I turned 29, it started to sink in that 2023 was my last full calendar year for my 20s. All the emotional baggage was coming back to crash on me, and I was feeling all of it. I tried to stay focused on YouTube, but even my 8th anniversary that year came with some bad news. I had to give a report that the professional year of May 29th, 2022 to 2023 broke the wrong record of the least subs gained in a year. Honestly, I felt like I was sinking into my own depression. In that first half of 2023, I was able to get a new job though, working as a utensil sanitation specialist for a locally prestigious fine catering institution, which was just a fancy way of saying a dishwasher. And I even started work with Pollard Funeral Home, working as a part-time groundskeeper. I was helping out a guy named Rocky. He was the one that ran the funeral home. It was also around this time that my mom and I both ended up joining a gym. But for me, that didn't last long because in the long run, I just couldn't afford it. I tried to let work, the gym, and YouTube distract me, but everywhere I turned, it felt like I was losing. If I had to give myself credit for anything in 2023, it would be the fact that I attended my first seminar being held by Dr. Tom Pritchard. During that seminar, I was able to sell to Tom Pritchard what I wanted my gimmick to be. He set all of us up with a promo exercise, and I was able to get both of them done correctly and on time. I was able to get all of my catchphrases in there. I was able to tell the story. I was able to amplify my gimmick for him and everybody else watching me. And at the end of it, Tom said, "I think you're a nut." And yep, I totally was. But it wasn't until August that year that Bree and I found an opportunity to get back together again. Don't get me wrong, I love Bree. But there was a long time frame where I didn't believe I was the boyfriend that Bree deserved. I thought that she deserved better than what I could offer. So she started loving me more than I could love myself. And it wasn't just me pouring my love into Bree. I tried pouring my love into everything but me. I started believing that everyone mattered except me. That's why I tried to stay quiet in the music room at APW. Despite not wrestling, I still did my job for the show. That's why I tried to pick up a more professional vision for SSP. I try not to take things so personally. It'll be rare, few, and far between when I talk about personal feelings on SSP anymore. lately I've been trying to keep SSP as professional as possible. If it doesn't fit the aesthetic of the brand, then I have no right talking about it to the camera. I gave my love to wrestling. I gave my love to Rocky. I gave my love to Queen Enterprises, but the one person I was not loving was still me. Even in 2024, the countdown to my 30th birthday had begun. My 20s, with all that emotional anguish, was going out kicking and screaming. Things started to shake for me, and things was going on, and it began to sink in. I didn't have a best friend anymore. Not by my regular definition anyway. The same disconnection I felt from Fountain of Life, I also ended up feeling in Woodward. It wasn't just about the age though. I started becoming ashamed of my mental health and ashamed of myself in general. There was nobody else in church that knew anything about the wrestling I was watching or the pop culture that I like to talk about.
And King James just wants to be wanted. He wants to belong. I think sometimes he feels out of place, but it's just because God made him so special. And so my message to King James and my message is to everybody around is embrace who he is. God made him different. We need more people like King James.
Socially speaking, I was just disconnected from everyone, and when I'm in the music room, I don't really feel like I'm one of the boys. Now, when I say it felt like I just wasn't one of the boys anymore, I'm just talking about Chester. Because, like, as far as APW and Chester goes, the music room isn't exactly connected with the locker room. Because the way the arena is set up, you have the locker room in one section of the building, then you have like a hallway right there in the middle before you get to the main curtain, and then right there in the middle between the arena and the backstage area, you have that little music room or the gorilla position where I just sit in that chair, and I kind of call it my office in a way. But because all these other wrestlers are so busy getting ready for their own match, like, there's not much chance for me to actually go back into the locker room and talk with any of them, and there's like not really much opportunity of anybody to actually come in and talk with me. The only time that I was able to actually talk to these guys was to understand what their cues was when it was time to play their music. Now, as much as I loved wrestling, it was still becoming shocking to me that I still felt disconnected from that too. But despite the feeling of disconnection, my heart was still in it. My love was still there, but it just felt like, to an extent, maybe it wasn't loving me back. I didn't care about that though, because for the sake of professionalism, I wanted to put the business first. I wanted to make sure that everybody else was happy. It didn't matter what I was feeling. I would just shut up, do my job like I'm supposed to, because heck, at the end of the day, I'm getting paid for it, right? I was thinking that even the fans, they stopped caring about me, because nobody was yelling booyah when they saw me anymore. And despite me wrestling in other places, I had folks that just kept asking me if I retired or not, because I just wasn't wrestling as often as I used to. And this is where my inferiority complex starts getting worse. I keep thinking if there was people that really cared about me, then on social media, those self-standard soldiers would have asked, why am I not getting booked? But I wasn't exactly in high demand like other talent. Look, any conversations I did have with any other wrestler,
They wasn't talking to me about what it is I'm doing on YouTube. They wasn't talking to me how I'm feeling at like other promotions. Nobody's acknowledging any work I try to do anywhere else. Nobody is vouching for me to any other promoter, and it just feels like I'm always swept under the rug. And again, the fans too, like, nobody is taking to social media asking to see me in the ring again, and heck, some of the fans too, it's starting to dawn on me that they just don't miss seeing me in that ring. Because nobody is exactly making it known that they want to see me wrestle in the APW Chester ring again. And what hurts even more is that, like, after the shows, just so I can try to do something to establish my own self-worth, is I'm out there in the arena after the shows trying to help Will out by cleaning up any trash I see. And now I feel like an empty shell of myself, because as I'm standing there trying to clean up the trash, I look over and I see more fans taking pictures with all these other wrestlers, and I keep thinking that used to be me. And there was even one night where I see this girl, she's getting autographs on her shirt from all the wrestling talent. And I know at one point she knew I used to wrestle, but she asked everybody else for an autograph except me. And as far as the APW Chester goes, yeah, it really feels like I lost my value. And that devil on my shoulder, that inferiority complex, keeps taunting me, saying that I don't matter because I'm just the music guy. That I've lost my talent, that I've lost my value, I've lost my purpose. I'm just not going to be anybody important anymore. And being separated from the locker room is one thing, but I want to give a shout out to a guy named Q. And Q, if you're out there watching, I never talked to you about this, but I have much respect for you. Alright? I can only imagine how lonely it gets for him up there in that hard cam position. Because all night during the show, he is stuck up there on that perch, filming every match for everyone, and he's not getting much conversation with anybody either. Maybe not till during intermission or after the show. During intermission too, like, I would go out to ringside and I would try to sell some of my drawings on nights that I wasn't booked. Now, normally on nights when I would be booked, I would try to sell my normal wrestling gimmicks, like a few of my posters and a few of my planks too. But because I'm not wrestling, it doesn't feel right for me to try and sell those, because nobody is seeing me as the wrestler. They're just seeing me out there wearing the headset and with my artwork. Yeah, praise God, I was able to sell a few here and there, but ultimately, because I'm just not one of the wrestlers, I'm not one of the guys they're looking for. These feelings of inadequacy kept going on when I asked myself, if people really cared about me, why is nobody messaging me on social media? I was thinking if I really did have a friend, then someone would take time out of their day, week, month, or year just to check in on me and say, hey, what's up? Nobody seemed interested in James Ramsey's life. I was also wondering why nobody is trying to defend me against this troll mentality of Dislike Gang. Now, I had to stand there and just let Dislike Gang cyberbully me. He took my profile picture, slandered my name, and even doxed my house without permission. And besides Carter, like, those self-standing soldiers weren't really going to war with me. I had to fight alone. And I didn't want Queen Enterprise getting involved because the last thing I wanted was for the trolls to start attacking her too. Now, I didn't talk about Dislike Gang earlier in this documentary because it's been an ongoing issue with him since 2020. Now, I noticed his channel my first day for CMW actually. It started off innocently enough, claiming he has an exposed video about me that I'm not allowed to see, and then he starts being disrespectful. But through the years, I blocked not just one of his accounts, but 5. Now, by the time the 6th one came around, he starts taking posts from my personal Facebook page out of context, and he began to twist a narrative to paint me as a groomer. It felt like he took pride in seeing me suffer, despite the fact that I was no-selling him on camera. Now, it's not just him though. Apparently there was a secret group that allegedly has access to an exposed video that they refuse to make public, and it looks like I'm just the only one not allowed to see it. And through the years, I've had people tell me, just block the trolls, don't engage in conversations with them. But it really sucks when trolls like him pay more attention to my content than the actual supporters do. I know I shouldn't talk to them, but I can't help it. I have a deep-rooted mentality that makes me want to defend myself. The honest truth about Dislike Gang is that he is the manifestation of every reason that I hate myself. Yet why am I putting value in his opinion? I don't know who he is personally, but he's allowed to know more about me publicly than I'm supposed to know about him privately. Dislike Gang, Edward Hubbard, and Skippy Tallgrass are all in the same boat. And who knows, they could all be linked to the same person, but nobody's going to come out and confess anything. Dislike Gang keeps accusing me of how back in 2021 I wanted to talk to a 13-year-old, but here's the true story. The mentality of trying to play fair with everyone, trying to love the people behind the account, and trying to defend myself really came back to bite me in the butt. I ended up having what I thought was a conversation with a random faceless account in one of my YouTube videos. He kept harassing my content and commenting on a few videos actually, but the conversation was getting too spread out and unorganized, so I invited him to participate on the spot in a StreamYard video call, just man-to-man, face-to-face, so we could talk about this problem. I waited about an hour before the same individual apologizes for being rude, and he claimed that he was only 13. As soon as he confessed his age, I shut down the StreamYard idea, and this 13-year-old ends up deleting his comments and his account. And it wasn't even an hour after that when Dislike Gang comes back and starts painting me as someone with pedophile intentions. That couldn't be further from the truth. How am I supposed to predict someone's age when there's no visual evidence of it through a faceless account? I can't just know stuff like that until they tell me. And Dislike Gang has been giving me hell about it ever since. And nobody is fighting with me. For years, my autism and my need for acceptance has painted an easy target on my back for folks like them to attack me on the internet. But this is one more reason why in 2024 I started to feel invisible compared to the James that I wanted to be. The insignificance I felt compared to my brother has expanded to everyone else in general. There was even a show booked in Chester where everyone else in my usual training class had a spot on the card, but I was the only one stuck in the music room. And it was at that moment I finally felt like I failed everyone, even myself. But I didn't want these feelings to follow me into my 30s. As my 30th birthday rolled around, I sent out invites to everyone. Thank goodness Preacher Keith allowed it to be in the church social hall, but just like this documentary, I wanted to see representation from all walks of my life in one area. People from school, people from church, and people from wrestling, but nobody from wrestling or school showed up at my birthday party. I didn't stress too much about wrestling though, because Big Country negotiated me to get booked with HWA in Rutherford. Country knew me and my brother in wrestling since I was 20, and it was an honor to face him in that ring for my 30th birthday. Since I turned 30 though, I've still been wrestling with myself, and I'm starting to understand this mental battlefield of mine. It's also becoming clear that everyone has their own fight. Some folks fight differently, but my whole life, I felt like I've always been fighting to win that championship of relevancy. I'm fighting for that dream to drive one day. I'm fighting for that dream to one day smile again. I'm fighting for that dream to, who knows, maybe one day be contracted with the WWE, AEW, or TNA. Who knows? Maybe I'm fighting to be an actor one day, if the right doors open. But here in 2025 and beyond, and I know I still got work to put in, and the work won't be done until the good Lord calls me home. I was thinking that my story didn't matter, and now look, I just got a whole documentary produced. But I wasn't the only author of this. I've had people helping me write this whole time, and I've just been blinded by my own darkness to see it. As far as my life for APW Chester goes, yeah, I've only had 2 matches in 2024 for them. But at least one of them was my first cage match. And I'm filming this particular part here in May 2025. And I just did have another match with a guy named Jamal the Titan recently, even though that match was an utter slaughter. But still, to set up for that match, I was still very pleased to hear those loud booyah chants once again. Here in 2025, I'm trying to find reasons to be proud of myself. I have been giving my problems to the Lord more often, and I'm trying to stay, on one hand, humble, but on another hand, thankful for the opportunities God has given me through the years. And slowly but surely, I don't know how it's happening, but I do feel like the Lord is helping me get my confidence reconstructed. I am trying to lose weight again. I am trying to find my own relevancy. I'm trying to find reasons to love myself again, and I know it's going to be easier said than done. And even though this documentary may be coming to a close, it doesn't mean my life is. Who knows? Maybe one of these years I might end up adding a sequel to this. The more as I kept thinking about this documentary, I started to realize that this may very well be the biggest testimony I ever provided. Now, if you'll ask me, for the Christian that I try to be, I will tell you up and down that Jesus Christ will always be your greatest tag team partner. The Lord will always be in your corner if you allow Him to be. You don't have to fight your battles on your own. if you ask me, trying to be the Christian that I am, I will always tell you that Jesus Christ will always be your greatest tag team partner. In life, the good Lord will always be there in your corner. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a preacher or claim that I have all the answers. But what I will have for you is love. You don't have to hate yourself, because while Christ was on the cross, we was on his mind. I considered this documentary to be my biggest testimony. And if you watched the whole thing up to this point, thank you. God bless you. If you want somebody to pray for you, I'm here, and I'll pray with you through the YouTube comments. Feel free to comment anything else you're going through yourself. And by definition, I implore you to get saved. All you have to do is confess with your lips that Christ is Lord. Believe in the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Ask him to save you, because the work was already done. We've all sinned. I have a past I regret with the utmost shame. I may not be able to change anything about that past, but I can still thank God I'm breathing today, and I can praise him for any future blessings he has coming my way. Take it from me. In most cases, when you get in your own head, you'll become your biggest enemy. But you also have a chance to be your biggest fan too. But where am I at today? Well, mentally speaking, I'm trying to love myself more, find a reason to show compassion to myself, of course, and I'm also trying to give more credit to God. But I have to remind myself why I'm in this. I forgot about my mission. I wanted to dedicate all of my in-ring performances to anybody on the spectrum. If you have autism, or if you feel like you're inferior compared to everybody else, I am dedicating all of my matches and all of my performances to you. Recently, I just had my 31st birthday. It was on a Sunday too. During a church service, mind you, but my birthday isn't officially listed on the bulletin paper that they pass out before service. Not only that though, May 4th, 2025 was booked as a graduation recognition service. Despite the spotlight being on other people and despite not being recognized myself, it didn't make me feel ashamed of myself. Yeah, some people remembered verbally, but only one other church member gave me $20 with a small bag of goodies. Thank you, Miss Robin. But other than that, you know who went out of their way to make my birthday special? Me. I bought my own cake, I bought my own video game, and I bought my own dinner, and I even bought my own ticket to go watch Thunderbolts. Shout out to my brother though. For my birthday, he still PayPal me $20 more, and Queen Enterprises got me a Stone Cold Funko Pop. Love you, bae. But still though, for the biggest theme of my birthday, it finally felt good to love myself again. Shout out to Kaylin and David too. I don't know what the future holds for me from them, but hopefully I'm not foolish for thinking that they're going to be my new support system. Now, despite me feeling forgotten at APW Chester, there was at least 2 fans in attendance that made sure that I wasn't forgotten. They made sure that I had a support group. As tiny as it was, maybe they didn't make that big of a difference as far as booking goes, but they were still very important to me, and they still found a way to make me feel seen to an extent. And I want to give a shout out to both Ben and Ember. Now, Ben, he's been watching APW for a long time, and he even knows that I was a former APW Carolina champion, and he has been trying to politic his way into convincing APW that I need a rematch for that championship. But I remember in 2023, I wasn't even booked on the card, but James Johnson said that he wanted a match with me. And the night that that match happened, Ben, he went out of his way to make a sign for me. Look at how many times he wrote Booyah. Who knows, maybe Ember wrote a lot of this Booyah too, but still, like, this was sick as heck. I don't even know how many times Booyah is listed onto this sign, like, good gravy. If I try counting these all, I'll probably lose my count somewhere. I'll probably lose my place. And Ben, he even trusted me so much that even though I wasn't booked for the Christmas show that year, he wanted me to help him propose to Ember. But yeah, shout out to Ben and Ember. Despite my inner paranoia about feeling unwanted, they wanted me at least. Even though I didn't feel much action was being taken because of them from the show perspective, I still gotta be thankful for them. I mean, yeah, in church, I'll admit, I do feel a little less love than I used to. Nobody is inviting me out to go eat with them after service anymore. I mean, yeah, in church, I'll admit, I do feel a little bit less love than I used to. To catch us up to speed on wrestling though, back in 2024, you know how many matches I had for APW Chester? Only 2. I mean, at least one of them was a cage match, and I don't know when my next victory will come, but the last time I actually won in Chester was for a 6-man tag team match 3 years ago. But right now, I'm the current LWA and TWA United States champion. As far as YouTube goes, I'm proud that I've been able to keep it going for 10 years. I'm proud that despite my low sub count, I'm still finding a way to have a deep, ongoing storyline going through the Witch of Woe saga. I can't talk too much about the Witch of Woe. I don't want to give away too many juicy details. But I will say that I'm proud that I found a way to stitch so many stories together into one and find a way to make it to connect with SSP. I'm excited to see how it adapts going forward, and I'm still finding a way to anchor it to wrestling. But whether it's on camera, in a book, or behind closed doors when nobody is looking, we all have a story. We all have our own battles. But we don't ever have to fight alone. Don't wrestle with those thoughts in your head telling you that you're insignificant or that you don't matter. There's somebody out there that will listen. Someone, somewhere, will hear you out. Even if you have to pick a random stranger on the street. Don't be so shy that you let yourself die, mentally or emotionally. You will matter to someone. But no matter what you're wrestling with, in your mind or in your life, whether you decide if it's through Christ or with the help of family or a friend, whatever you do, please don't wrestle yourself. For too long, I thought I was fighting alone. But for too long, I didn't give God enough credit. There's plenty of folks I didn't give enough credit to over the years, and that's on me. I'll be here all day if I try listing off everyone. But you've seen the documentary up to this point. You know who's been there for me. Just because love wasn't given in the way that I wanted it to be given, it didn't make the love itself any less valuable. And it didn't make me any less valuable either. And I gotta learn that the hard way. And whether you folks decide to love me for the self-standard that I try to be, or you want to love me for the James Ramsey that I am, either way, I also say thank you.
So James right now is kind of in a transition phase at APW. James does the music. He's always done the music. James wrestled, when he was APW Carolina champion, he wrestled just about every week. So as time goes on, talent changes, times change. So we went and put it on another guy. James lost the belt after, I think he held the belt almost probably a year. I'm not sure. Time runs together in this business. So I think he held the belt for a good long time that he kept winning. Every week he would find a way to win. And then we made a decision, of course, that after a while you have to take the belt off champions and have to change it over. That way it don't get stale. So we made a decision that James was going to lose the belt. He did lose the belt. And now, we're different than we were back then. It's a whole different ball game. Every year is different at wrestling. Every year the promotion changes. You get new talent, you get old talent, stuff like that. Right now we're kind of in a transitional phase. James is kind of in a transitional phase because every wrestler has a character, and the character is the persona that they put on in the ring. And as time changes, your character has to change. It's not you become stale too. So right now we're all in kind of a transition phase at APW. We're trying to transition James to a certain point, and we're trying to figure out what's best works for James, where we can translate him into, change his character basically from kind of a good guy, booyah guy to something else. And it's just a work in progress. It's always a work in progress. Even with the guys that's champions and stuff like that, their character's always changing. You always have to find a different character. Sometimes they have to tweak it. Sometimes you have to start from the beginning. And we're kind of right there. We're trying to figure out where we want to go with him and what we want to do.
I'm honored to be one of his pastors. He goes to several churches, but I'm honored to be one of his pastors. I consider him my friend. I believe I could call him for anything, and he would drop what he's doing if he can and help me. So he's a good friend of mine, and he's special. And I love him. He's my brother in Christ, and I appreciate him. So those are some things that I love and appreciate about the one and only King James.
And I also have to say thank you all for giving me another reason to be outrageously optimistic year-round. Booyah!
Please take your time, smell the roses, but steal the vines. Don't wait for the hands of time to second guess and change your mind. Now just shine. Here's your moment to shine, shine. Lay it down, my friend. Close your eyes, breathe in, and I will take you there and back again. No more questions why I'm
Henry Ramsey, the self-standard, my good friend.
Hope all y'all doing undeniably fan-freaking-tastic out there.
ASNSP, I put hair on my chest.
Hey James, happy 10th anniversary for your YouTube channel. I hope it continues to grow and inspire a lot of people.
Lay it down, my friend, close your eyes, breathe in, and I will take you there and back again. No more questions why I'm not so surprised. Why you have been there and back again, my friend. Close your eyes, breathe in, and I will take you there and back again. No more questions why I'm not so surprised. Why you have been there and back again.
Be outrageously optimistic year-round. Booyah!